Hi guys, welcome back to the Leeds lobby. Me and my dad were just scrolling through some news and we decided to make a video what to expect from Leeds in the coming week.
It's interesting to note that from a channel point of view, we have just reached 500 subscribers, so thanks ever so much for the support. And it goes without saying, if you're watching the video, particularly if you've come back and watched at least one video, it's really important to us that you hit that subscribe button and hit the like button. We want to get up that algorithm if possible. There's not a lot of content providers putting stuff out there for Leeds United at the minute, particularly over the weekend when there's not much going on. We anticipate there's going to be movement this coming week, and we'll get into that in a short time, but make sure you've hit that subscribe button, make sure you've hit that like button. And my question is, what do you think is going to happen Monday, Tuesday, early part of next week, Dan?
My prediction is Tuesday afternoon, Mo Kamara will be announced. Monday night, Calvin Phillips will be announced as a Manchester City player. And maybe a week after that, we could announce Tyler Adams or Harry Winks.
It does seem really interesting that just before Leeds agreeing terms with Man City was announced, we had this whole announcement with regards to us potentially having some contact with the club regarding Gakpo. It seems like there's been a little bit of stage management going on, that it's almost as if some announcement of Leeds making a signing is going to be made just before Calvin Phillips actually signs for Manchester City. It's almost as if the board are well aware of the backlash if we haven't made additional signings at this stage. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Calvin Phillips has obviously undergone the longest medical in the history of footballing transfers at any point. We've made 3 transfers before Calvin Phillips has actually gone, which means we've kind of spent that money early. What do you think is going to happen with the Rafinha?
I think I'm still confident that he'll stay until January to sign for Barca.
Yeah, I personally think that Rafinha, if the player doesn't want to go to Chelsea and the player doesn't want to go to Arsenal, if Barcelona are making stirrings that they're going to make a bid, that there's going to be some movement on that transfer fee, and when that transfer fee comes, there only needs to be little murmurings and Rafinha is digging his heels in, and that means it's increasingly likely that Rafinha will either become a Barcelona player but very late in the window, probably too late for Leeds, or alternatively he'll end up staying a Leeds player. I think the thing with Tyler Adams, there has been kind of a little bit of a rumbling that we may be getting him on loan, or possibly a loan to buy. And if Barcelona are offering to give us whatever money they're giving us in 3 instalments, that probably means good business from a Leeds point of view. Because what would you think? Does it mean we can perhaps sign players that we wouldn't have been able to sign?
Yeah, I think we're just waiting for the Rafinha and Phillips money to actually make some moves into actually put some offers in for players that we can back up with the transfer funds.
Do you think the Phillips move becoming formalised will trigger other transfer movement for Leeds United?
Yeah, I can see. I think obviously Fabrizio Romano, I said that Phillips is as good as a Man City player, pending an announcement, because he has signed all the paperwork, he's signed his contract, he's done his medical. Everything's done, so we're just waiting for an announcement, really.
So who do you think Leeds will announce to be a Leeds United player next?
I think next, I'm confident that we probably, it'll either be Mo Kamara or Tyler Adams. People are saying that they can't see us getting, that they can only see us getting one. I think we could get both of them. There's everyone saying Tyler Adams or Mo Kamara, but I personally think we could get both of them.
I think one thing a lot of Leeds United fans seem to be saying on Twitter right now, and this seems to be echoed an awful lot, is the fact that one of the weaknesses that we had is that we didn't really have suitable cover for Phillips last year when he was injured out for most of the season.
Yeah, we had Forshaw and Bate, and that was about it.
So is there an extent to which there's an argument to say we need to perhaps be buying Kamara and loaning Tyler Adams, that we perhaps need to be bringing both of those players in for next season?
Yeah, I wouldn't buy both of them. I'll probably loan one of them and buy one of them. Or maybe get Tyler Adams with an option to buy at the end of the season for maybe 15 to 20 million. Lewis O'Brien is rumoured now to be, we're digging up some interest from Nottingham Forest, and that we offered money, but we were 2 million short of his release clause. So I think that ship sailed now.
It seems to be that if we can bring a Tyler Adams in on a loan to buy, there's obviously less risk from Leeds' point of view, because if he doesn't turn out to be what we're hoping to be, which is almost a direct replacement for Phillips, then if there's an option to buy at the end, then Leeds are obviously in a good position, aren't they?
Yeah.
Okay, so do you think we're more if we're going to get one of them, are we more likely to get more Kamara? Are we more likely to get Adams?
I think Well, we've obviously had an announcement that from some Spanish journalists. They reported the Roca transfer. I think they've been reporting Salzburg. They reported the Christensen transfer. They've been reporting Salzburg transfers for years now, and they tend to get it right. I can't remember, but it was a news company that has reported that Mo Kamara does have a medical on Monday to Tuesday, somewhere between those 2 days. So it is possible that Kamara could be a done deal as early as Wednesday night, which would be absolutely brilliant. But also Tyler Adams, obviously, is catching some wind now. The rumours regarding us signing him for 15 million or as a loan to buy for 15 million. So I personally think Mo Kamara is the more likely of the two now. I think he's overtaken Tyler Adams in the race, but I also think Tyler Adams is a real possibility as well.
All of these seem to be players that are under the age of 25. These seem to all be players that are going to increase in stock.
We're signing young players.
Yeah, and that's good.
You can say what you want about last window, but the last two windows we signed Dan James, who was 23 when we signed him, and Junior Febbo, who was 23 when we signed him. We are signing young players,
and that's got to be a good thing. I mean, we've got to look across the Pennines and look at the meltdown that Man United are having right about now. I mean, there's people on TalkSport, Anton Ferdinand on TalkSport. Incidentally, listening to Anton Ferdinand, he don't half sound like Rio. Listening to Anton Ferdinand talking and listening to people on TalkSport actually discussing the possibility of Man United finishing bottom half if they lose Ronaldo. Bearing in mind they've lost Ronaldo and lost Pogba, and that they don't appear to be going forward. They've still got Harry Maguire as club captain.
Actually, there was some kick about earlier on that Harry Maguire was on record and apparently had called Ten Hag a bold fraud because he said that he wasn't going to be captain next season.
And it's absolutely frightening what's happening to them as a club.
Apart.
They seem to be falling apart.
What was it I was saying earlier on that you said I should?
I can't remember who played.
I said something earlier on about them. I can't remember now.
But Man United are literally a club that people are wanting to leave about now.
Yeah, the Man United, obviously Ten Hag being a Dutch coach, he's looking to bring in a lot of ex-Ajax players. Obviously, because that's who he's managed. He's looking to bring in Frankie de Jong. He's looking at Owen Wijndal, who's obviously got an Ajax now, but he's looking to bring in all these Dutch players. And with Portuguese players, there's a pull for them to go to Wolves, because Wolves, they're going to be with a lot of their Portuguese national teammates. With Danish players, there's a pull for them to go to Brentford, because they're going to be with a lot of their Danish teammates. Man U are trying to bring in the whole Netherlands team, and none of them want to go to Man U.
And none of them want to play.
It's just a club that's falling apart. They'd rather go Newcastle.
Man United is not. I mean, when you consider, and this is another point that was being made, that Spurs are actually a better bet for silverware than Manchester United now. Bearing in mind, Spurs have won nothing since the year d'or. They've not actually. There's no trophies in their cabinet as such, but there's still a higher probability to win trophies than Manchester United this coming season, which is not frightening, but it's interesting. It's certainly interesting when we look across. No, it's not frightening for us, but it shows in the ways in which football kind of goes in cycles to a certain extent. Doesn't it?
What with Leeds transfers?
I think
what are we saying about that?
I think as far as CDK is concerned, I think again there is. It's one of those things where there's stuff happening in the background. It's almost as if we feel now that Orta is taking aim and he's got his finger on the trigger, and we're just waiting to find out what happens with Phillips. What I'm interested in though is Phillips is obviously going to be announced Monday, Tuesday. Is that going to be the starting gun that is going to cause Leeds to begin bringing in replacements for Phillips and Rafinha? Bearing in mind we've already spent what appears to be the Phillips money.
I don't want to sell Phillips and then bring in a CDM to back him up. We went there with Alioski. We sold Alioski. Alioski left us as a free agent, and we bought in Firpo and we didn't bring any depth. I want Phillips. If Phillips is going, let's be real, he's past his medical. I want Phillips to go, and I want us to bring in two more defensive midfielders, and I want one as backup. So I want Tyler Adams and Kamara, or possibly getting Mo Kamara and Harry Winks. But would you rather, if you could have CDK, or obviously Castellanos was never on the list, it was never going to happen apparently now, according to Fabrizio Romano. Would you, not according to Graham Smith and Phil Hay, would you take Castellanos or CDK?
I think I'd have either of them, to be honest with you, having looked at what we've got. But like you're talking about Dutch players going to or not wanting to go to Manchester United. Why would you want to go there? I mean, not all the decent players seem to be wanting to leave right now, and they certainly ain't going to have Champions League football in the foreseeable. But we look at a situation where Portuguese players do tend to go to, like you said, to Wolves. And here we are, Leeds United, and we seem to be having American players, which is interesting because we're still linked with Tyler Adams, who's obviously American.
Yeah. I would also take in Weston McKennie. No one's really talking about him, but he plays for Juventus centre mid, and he's a brilliant prospect. He's 22, and I think he's 22. I'm not sure. He's somewhere around that age. But I think he would also be another great American signing.
See, I think people have said we're almost going to be like Red Bull Leeds United. And you know what? Again, I can understand people being concerned.
Then I'm happy.
I can understand the concern, but what I will say again is I remember a few seasons back Fulham practically having a brand new first 11 and bringing them in towards the back end of the transfer window and not being in a situation where that team gelled very well and they went straight down. Even though they spent quite a lot of money, Leeds are in a situation if they're bringing in players that are of the same nationality that are playing together at a national level or players that are playing together at a club level, it's got to a certain extent be a good thing when you bring them into an already established side because they're going to know some way of the way in which they play together.
But listen, there's Red Bull owns I think 3 football clubs, and they all dominate the leagues that they're in. They're all the top dogs in the leagues that they're in. Really, Leipzig is always a top 4 contender in the Bundesliga. Salzburg has won the Bundesliga too many times when they're trot to count, and New York Red Bulls dominate the MLS. So I don't get what this thing is about the Red Bull network coming in and scooping up Leeds. We did actually reject Red Bull from buying the club back in 2017. We actually rejected because they wanted to change the colour to white and red, and they wanted to. Leeds wanted the choice to change the club name and the stadium and the colour. So we actually rejected Red Bull back in 2017.
Good. I'm glad we did. I don't want to be playing in a red shirt. Could you imagine playing in a red shirt?
Couldn't.
Goodness me! I think if that happened, my dad
last season, 20 to 21, the first season back in the Prem, that away shirt was about as red as you could go on a Leeds shirt, really.
So just looking forward and thinking how this season's going to go. I mean, to be honest with you, the first season in the Premiership, we seemed to overperform in the sense that we did better than I expected us to do. Obviously, Paddy had a fantastic first season.
17 goals.
17 goals.
Second highest English scorer.
What we've now seen is we've seen players like Greenwood and Joffrey have come forward and look like they're now beginning to emerge. Hiela's beginning to emerge. We're seeing some youth players come through. We're seeing change. The second season, it was out of necessity because we were injury prone. We didn't have a strength in depth. Us selling 2 players and potentially buying 6 or possibly 7 players, if that is eventually what actually happens, particularly the quality that we're looking at, does seem to be, from our point of view, a good thing because there's going to be a strength in the depth of the squad. Obviously, you're letting your crown jewels go in. I do think we're bringing 2 or 3 players in that have got that X factor, potentially are players that are going to kick on and eventually leave Leeds United for a bigger transfer fee.
Yeah.
And again, that causes us to be able to reinvest. The guy we've brought from Chelsea, young lad, 18-year-old.
You mean Man City?
No,
Darko
yeah. He looks like.
And it is reported that the fee is 7 million, not 5 million.
And you know what that tells me? That tells me that he is a real prospect. By all accounts, at the age of 18, he was almost breaking into the 23s.
We paid 30 million for Dan James, so I'd keep you.
I think a little bit. Yeah, I think we were stitched to it there. I think
continue. What
potentially one of the players that Bielsa, really wanted, and by all means a presser. I'm interested in seeing what he's going to do this season because I think he's going to begin to play him. Yeah, he'll actually play him in position now.
Because I actually think James has a decent ball in, and he also, you can say what you want about his height, he's good in the air. We scored 2 headers this season, and both of them came from Dan James.
Which is remarkable. Really.
Actually, no, we scored 3, but the one from strike against Brighton. But obviously, we had one against Dan James. For 2 from Dan James. So
one other question: if you look at your ideal lineup, if you talk about the players we've still got at Leeds United, the players we've kept hold of, and the players that we are linked with, that we're looking like we may sign, what would your ideal lineup be?
Well, we played, just before I answer the question, we played Stoke yesterday behind closed doors. And I think we had, all I remember is you had Rocker and Forshaw in the midfield. we had Harrison and Greenwood in attacking midfield, and we had Joffrey and Bamford up front, and Joffrey assisted a Bamford goal, and we won 1-0. So I can't quite remember what the back line is, but I do know we had Klaassen in net.
That excites me. Bamford and Joffrey up front with somebody potentially coming off the bench.
Or Bamford coming off the bench.
Bamford coming off the bench, or Joffrey coming off the bench, and Greenwood in attacking midfielders, also somebody who can play up front.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, we begin to look like we've got a few attacking options as some of these younger players begin to mature.
Ideal lineup, mine would be Christensen at right back, with obviously you've got Jarme as depth and Ayling as third choice potential. And you've got, I would have Straka as left centre back and Cocker as right centre back. Then I wouldn't put Straka and Cresswell both at centre back together, because neither of them are experienced enough to play together. I think you need an older centre back. Cox obviously 26, so it could work. It could work. Or Llorente and Cooper is also a strong one. Then I would have Harrison at left back. Obviously, me and Dad have spoken about that before. So that's your four at the back. Mele and net is a given. 2 CDMs, Rocker and Mo Kamara, with Tyler Adams and Harry Winks as backup. And you've also got Lewis Bate in there. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Lewis Bate, as you all know, because he gave me a shirt at the under-23s. So that's 6 you've picked. So you've got 2 on the wings. I would have Jack Harrison.
As left back. Jack Harrison's played twice.
Oh no, not Jack Harrison. Daniel James as a left winger to start the season to see how he does. And who's the right winger we're linked with? Cody Gakpo.
Why not have Jack Harrison as right wing as well as left wing?
Cody Gakpo and Dan James. And then up front, Charles de Ketelaere and Bamford, with Joffrey coming off the bench. Because I don't think Joffrey is starting games for me yet. And I know I'm going to get slated for that, but I think he should be coming off at half time.
What do you think what do you think de Ketelaere potentially offers us that Bamford doesn't?
He's a younger player. Bamford obviously 28, turning 29. Charles de Ketelaere is obviously, I think he's 23, somewhere around that age. He's obviously, I think he's quite a similar player to Bamford, to be fair. But
one other thing is missus can always sort your teeth out. If
Yeah.
you've got a problem with your teeth, which is always a good thing.
Yeah.
Good chance if you're going to see a dentist in
There's
around
also
Leeds.
Charles de Ketelaere is also a bit better in the air. I think he's got some height on him, if I've been told correctly.
Yeah, one area where we have struggled, both going forward and defending, has been in the air, and we seem to be talking to 1 or 2 players that are able to, pretend right back Christensen. We're obviously looking at de Ketelaere, who's again over 6 foot. 2 or 3 players in there that can actually head the ball.
Just before we wrap it up, would you, if we get Tyler Adams and Mo Kamara, who would be your midfield partnership? Because obviously we've signed Rocker and we still have Lewis Bate in there and Forshaw. So who would be your midfield partnership?
I don't know. Actually, I actually don't know. For me, Rocker looks more of a playmaker. As such, as a defensive midfielder, looks like somebody who's very, very much distribution. Tyler Adams looks like somebody who's a tough tackler. I think Mo Kamara is both. But I think what's interesting is the fact that for the first time since we've been in the Premiership, for the first time since that last season in the Championship, we look like we're going to have some competition for places in that midfield, because we've still got Forshaw, we've still got Bate, we've still got Click at the club. So now all of a sudden we've got a situation in defensive midfield and central midfield and attacking midfield where we look like we're going to have competition for places, and we really, really, really need that. Being in a situation where we've got 5 people who can come off the bench, it's really important that we improve that depth of squad.
Needs to get it right. Orta needs to get it right.
So just to recap what we think is going to happen this season, this coming week, early on in the week, perhaps Monday evening, Phillips is going to be pictured in a Man City shirt in a press conference. And the unfortunate thing is it's going to be a very, very mixed bag in terms of how we react to that, but we're going to see him in a Man City shirt, been announced as a Man City player. I think very shortly before that, it's possibly going to be announced that there's somebody at Leeds United having a medical, which will be news that will be released in order to soften the blow somewhat, even though we know he's going, and we've known he's been going for a couple of weeks. It's just the actual final nail in the coffin. He's actually gone.
Tuesday, Mo Kamara is announced, and then possibly somewhere towards the end of the week, Tyler Adams is brought in.
we brought 3 players in 2 weeks, right at the very start of the end of season.
3 players in 3 weeks.
3 players in 3 weeks. We're looking like we're in a situation with this next week. We may see 2, and the next 2 weeks we may see 3 players coming for Leeds United. No talk of a goalkeeper coming in. No talk of a left back. Again, I'm quite sure other people will be.
The centre back news has gone a bit cold.
And the centre back, well, that's okay.
We were looking at Nathan Collins, but I think there's other areas that we could fund.
So thanks ever so much for watching the video. Please
see you next time.
Subscribe, hit the like button. By all means, we respond to the comments, and we will speak to you and see you next time.
See you next time.